Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Ways and Means regularly scheduled meeting. I'm John Quincy, the chair, joined by Council Vice President Glidden, Council Members Bender and Johnson. I know Councilmember Palmisano will be joining us soon, and Councilmember Yang is attending to other city business today. So that we are a quorum, so we can go about doing the city's business today. Also, before we start, I just noticed Peter Ginders, our city attorney, is sitting down at that end of the hall, at that end of the table, and I guess this is the last time for you, Peter, in front of this committee. So Peter, of course, is going to be enjoying those retirement years starting February 26th or something. So go ahead, say something brilliant.
I'll reserve that for later.
Okay, he's going to reserve that for later, but obviously we will miss you greatly at the city, and in particular in this committee. So thank you, Mr. Ginder. We'll begin today. I think we have a number of consent items that we'll run through real quickly, and then we'll be doing a public hearing. Let's see, do I have two public hearings? Is that right, Kelly? Okay.
That's correct, Councilman.
Okay, thank you. So the consent items on the agenda. Include, from the attorney's office, a settlement workers' compensation claim. Number 5 is the Downtown Improvement District grant and amended agreement. Item number 6 is the legal services agreement with Rice, Michaels, and Walther. And item number 7 is a contract amendment with Restorative Justice Community Action for restorative justice services. The Convention Center brings forward number 8, which is a contract closeout with Premier Electrical Corporation for RGB lighting and exhibit halls. Community Planning and Economic Development is bringing forward an agreement extension between Hennepin County and the City of Minneapolis regarding the Office to End Homelessness. I see Mr. Beckman there. Thank you. Finance and Property Services is bringing forward an acquisition and redevelopment of the Roof Depot properties for municipal operation purposes. This has 4 actions associated with that. Item number 11 is the bond issuance for Target Center renovation project. Item number 12 is from Human Resources, the contract amendments for DRI Consulting Management Assessment Services. Information Technology is bringing forward a number of items. 13 is the IT gift acceptance for March 2016 SharePoint Fest Technology Conference. 14 is the contract for Aramosa for the Public Works Laboratory and Operations Data Systems software. Item number 15 is the issuance of a request for proposal for citation issuance and management systems. Item number 16 is a contract amendment with EMA, Maximo Asset Management Software. Item number 17 are IT contracts with Arete, Cloud Sherpas, and Integrism for ServiceNow application expansion service. Mayor's Office bringing forward a contract extension for the Mayor's Office Interim Communications Director. Excuse me. From the Community Development Regulatory Services Committee, we have a land sale for Greenhorn Homes North Round 5. The data use agreement with Minnesota Hospital Association. A contract amendment with NextGen Healthcare for the school-based clinic program. Item number 22 is a contract amendment with Stair Step Foundation for National Diabetes Prevention classes. Item number 23 is a contract amendment with Wetland Habitat Restorations for community engagement. Item number 24 is a contract with Tree Trust and Wetland Habitat Restorations for tree planting services. From Public Safety and Civil Rights, we also have a community solar subscription agreement with DG Minnesota CSG5 LLC for Solarstone Community LLC, United States Solar Corporation, and Sunrise Community Solar. From Public Safety, Civil Rights, and Emergency Management Committee, we have a contract with the University of Minnesota for Police Department to provide bomb detection services at TCF Stadium for large-scale events during the 2016 calendar year. Contract with the University of Minnesota for Police Department to provide extra security and tactical response at TCF Stadium. contract with Taser International for the purchase of body-worn camera equipment and video storage solution. I think we'll hold that for some discussion because we're going to have a staff direction, some other conversation on that item, so we'll pull that off for now. Transportation and Public Works Committee is bringing forth the 9th Street and Kenny area residential street resurfacing projects, a bid for large diameter sanitary sewer cleaning, and those are the consent items. So for all those consent items, with the exception of item number 28, any questions or comments? Councilmember Johnson, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to have item 10 pulled for separate discussion and vote.
Which item is that?
That's on the roof depot site.
I'm sorry.
The roof depot site?
Oh, roof depot. Okay. We'll pull that off for later discussion then. Those items on the consent agenda, except for item number 10 and 28. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Those items carry. We'll come back to those two items, but we're going to deal with the public hearings first on that, and then the presentation. So the first public hearing is from Finance Property Services. This is on a land sale. And there you are. Welcome. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Quincy and council members. Item 1 that you have before you is the proposed sale of 818 1/2 25th Avenue South. It's a piece of excess land that we got from MnDOT, and the adjacent owner at 2517 Riverside Avenue, which is the Tesoro gas station, has requested to buy it. It's approximately 2,000 square feet, zone C1, and they intend to use it as green space adjacent to their gas station. We set the price at $6,000, which is roughly $3 a square foot, and they agreed to pay that plus all transaction costs. And we request that you hold a public hearing, and if you deem it preferable, to approve this proposed sale.
Very good. Thank you for that presentation. Any questions for staff on that? Not seeing any. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody who wishes to talk to that item? Anyone? Anyone? Not seeing any. We'll close the public hearing, and I'll move approval of that item for the land sale. Any questions? Council committee members? Not seeing any. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And opposed? That item carries. Thank you very much. Now we have a public hearing for the Minnesota Investment Fund loan application. Hi, Casey.
Councilmember.
I'm never going to pronounce your
That's okay.
name.
Casey works. So, good afternoon, Councilmember Quincy, members of the committee. Before you today is a request to authorize the city to submit an application to DEED, the state, for their Minnesota Investment Fund loan program. And this would be a grant from the state, and then the city would then make a loan to Jack Link's Beef Jerky for their expansion project in the Block E, now Mayo Clinic Square building. The company currently has, I think, around 150 jobs downtown, and they would be taking over roughly 75,000 square feet on the second floor and the first floor, and they're projected to add 85 jobs over the next 2 years, and that would be committed via the loan. And if they do meet those goals, then the loan to the company would be forgiven once they hit that target. So we already actually, their current location in the warehouse district, we have a prior MIF loan with that company, and they are on track to meet the goals. That's a $100,000 loan, and that once they meet those goals, that loan ends in March. So that loan would be forgiven, and then this would be a new loan. The projections are for a $14 million expansion, which includes the build out of the Mayo Clinic Square space and then their purchase of FF&E. So this the state, as part of our application, requires a public hearing and then the council to pass a resolution in support for the project. So happy to answer any questions, and I know Steve Frey from Jack Link's is here and has like to say a few words as well.
Thank you very much. Excuse me, this is just an application to DEED.
So
right.
What we're requesting is the city to authorizing us to submit an application, and then subject to receiving or deed approving it, then we're requesting that we can accept the funds and then make a loan to the company with those state funds.
Terrific. Great. Thank you very much for that. I imagine we'll get to hear from the representative from Jack Links as part of the public hearing process, but we're very excited to have that expansion into business in our city. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Any further questions before we get to the public hearing portion? Not seeing any. Thank you very much. Open the public hearing for this and hope to hear from the representative from Jack Links. That'd be terrific. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Steve Frey. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of Jack Links. And on behalf of Jack and Troy Link, the owners of Jack Links, we couldn't be more excited about the expansion into Minneapolis. We have currently 150 team members in the warehouse district in Minneapolis and anticipate that will double over 5 years. While Casey has addressed 85 of those positions, we anticipate that the growth of the company as the dominant global leader of beef jerky, as the case is, we anticipate that we'll double our team members in Minneapolis over the coming years. We announced that to our team this morning. They couldn't be more excited. Applause, high fives, as you would expect from a beef jerky company this morning. And on behalf of that organization, again, we'd like to thank the city council, and CPED for their support of our vision and of their vision.
That's terrific. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for being present today. It's very exciting for the city of Minneapolis to have you as a growing member of our community, and the work that you've done in Mayo Clinic in the retail space there has just been outstanding. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to this item in the public hearing? Anyone? Anyone? Not seeing anybody. Thank you very much. I'll close the public hearing, and we have a comment from Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's pretty exceptional for me to go off topic, but I just want to say I'm a big fan of your beef jerky, and thank you for making it and being in Minneapolis. And I look forward to as you continue to expand with different flavors and offerings. Thanks.
I don't think that's going off topic at all. I think it's terrific, and you're not the only one who loves the beef jerky. So thank you. Not seeing any further questions from council members. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. And opposed? That item carries. Thank you very much. We have a presentation next. This is from Bruce Plant, our city treasurer, and implementation of the pay card option for paying city employees.
All right, as it gets set up here. Nothing ever moves as quick as you'd like, does it? Sorry about this. Well, I'll just start out by saying good afternoon, committee chair and council members. I am Bruce Plant, the city treasurer, and I'm here today to give you an update on a voluntary program we're proposing for our employees to get paid and to ask for your support. I'm joined today by several people who helped me with this program: the city's cash manager, Larry Parker, and Wells Fargo representatives James Mulrooney and Anita Wolf. I want to thank them all for being here today and for their help in moving this program forward for our employees. All right, now if I can get the presentation, huh? I do. It's not recognized. I apologize for this. Yes. Well, I'll start off with just kind of explaining a little bit about what is the employee pay card. As I mentioned earlier, the pay card is a voluntary program for the electronic payment of our employees. Over 95% of our employees currently are paid electronically via direct deposit. I don't want to replace direct deposit. That's still our preferred method. However, for those who don't use direct deposit, I would like to convert them from paper checks today to an electronic payment method. A key reason they receive paper checks today is that they are usually unbanked or underbanked employees, and the pay card provides a solution to that. I guess taking a look at our history on this project, as you may recall, we selected our vendor, Wells Fargo, to provide this service last year as part of the banking services contract. Wells Fargo provided the best overall combination of service and value to the city, and in this product in particular, they had the best distribution of branch and ATM locations throughout the city. Taking a look at our objectives for this product and program, we wanted to be clear about our objectives, including targeting, improving things for our unbanked and underbanked employees. We currently issue about 300 paper checks per pay period today. However, with the influx of the temporary park board workers starting in late April each year, that number swells to 1,500 to 2,000 paper checks. We also have summer interns that would benefit from this product. If a problem were to occur with my ability to generate paper checks today, I do not have a good solution to pay this population. With the implementation of a pay card, I will have a solution. Thank you. Taking a look at the pay card benefits, a couple other cardholder benefits that I'd like to highlight are protection from loss or theft, no check cashing fees. Without a banking relationship today, paper checks can cost upwards to 30% to cash a check. Unlike a checking account, pay card accounts cannot be over-withdrawn, and it could provide a gateway to further banking services down the road. Benefits to the city other than what I've listed here, I wanted to mention we also avoid escheatment, since I know how much Chair Quincy likes it when I use that word, especially in the chambers. And for those unfamiliar with what that term means, it's the process by which we deal with unclaimed property. So paychecks that we can't get cashed or that people aren't cashing and we can't, after an extended period of time, follow up and find out what we need to do. We get those funds to the state and then they deal with it on our behalf. In general, on this slide, I just wanted you to see that we have a controlled process for distributing the cards. And here's a sample of what the card will look like. It works just like a debit ATM card does that most of us are familiar with. I think it looks cooler than a paycheck, and it works in conjunction with a smartphone as well. You can link that to your smartphone, which I think will be extremely nice for the younger population especially, who looks for those sort of things. Taking a look, in most cases, access to the pay by the employee cardholder will be free. However, we stress and will stress to these employees that just like any relationship with a bank, there are circumstances where fees will apply. These are the most common fees, and generally they only occur after one free transaction per period. As far as the city's cost, they will be more than offset by the administrative savings that we will generate through this program. And we have set up a website for employees to get further details, as you can see here. And I would want to thank you for your time, and I stand ready to take your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Plant. Are there any questions for Mr. Plant? Not seeing any. I think this is a great innovation, so thank you for bringing that forward. I know other cities have done this in Minnesota, and we're catching up to them, but it won't be long. And it'll be particularly when you have park board employees. How many of those are seasonal young people that don't have access to a checking account? this is a great alternative for them and provides extra security for them as well. So in case they lose that piece of paper, they won't have to have that option. So it'll be really, really convenient. That's a great innovation. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Not seeing any. Good. This is just as a receive and file, as I understand, just a presentation. So with that, I'll move to receive and file. Any comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, Mr. Klein.
Thank you.
Great. Let's go to the item number 10, I believe it was. This is related to the roof depot. Councilmember Johnson, you had a specific question, or what would you like to do?
Mr. Chair, I'll defer. I see we're joined by the council member representing that ward. And then I'd like to say a few words afterwards.
Sure. I assume, Mr. Goki, if you could join us at the podium, probably address some of those questions. Okay. Mr. Goki, before we get to specific questions, maybe you could run through the RCA that you've submitted here and what the steps are.
Okay, Greg Goki, Director of Property Services, with Councilmember Quincy as Chair and community members. We've reached agreement on the terms and conditions for acquisition of the property. The $6.8 million represents the city's appraised value for the property, which was lower than the owner's appraised value, in which both were done in summer of 2014. We anticipate closing on or before July 1st of this year. And as per previous council direction, we do plan on working with the East Phillips community and the development community, as well as our facility space and asset management committee, on how to best utilize the site long-term for not only municipal operations, but the potential for possibilities with development and community desires in that part of our city. As we move forward, I've also asked that we make a distinguishing statement on this project. Our city council in previous years has adopted LEED Silver as a standard of quality for our new facilities. On our previous Hiawatha maintenance facility to the north of this campus, we did achieve a platinum level. Since then, the LEED standards by the U.S. Green Building Council have been revised, and with preliminary look at my office, we don't believe platinum is achievable in the future, so we're recommending gold, which is higher than your previous direction for all of our projects. So we're asked that you make recommendation and approve that as well as part of this process, so we know when we go forward and issue an RFP for design services, that it's clear to the design community the type and quality of building that we're looking for as an end result of this project. Also, as part of this, we do want to go ahead and hire an independent commissioning consultant for this project that will help us ensure that the owner's requirements are met in the design process, as well as construction and quality control at the end of the project. And we also do recommend this project be certified by the U.S. Green Building Council as a proof of the quality and commitment the city is making on this project.
Great. Thank you very much. So there's basically 4 actions here. One is the approval of the acquisition, which just follows up the previous direction we had to negotiate. We got the better deal. So thank you for that. And then we have the redevelopment to be gold level standard, and then authorizing RFPs for the architecture and engineering services, and then RFP for LEED commissioning services. Tell me, when would we be taking on, once an RFP goes out for the architectural and engineering services, when would that occur?
Well, Committee Chairman Quincy, I'm going to answer that in general. With the gold commitment from the council, assuming you're going to pursue that, we'll need to draft an RFP. We do have program requirements already kind of thought out. So I would expect we would be back at the PRC for their review and approval, probably about 2 cycles,
Okay.
and then issuing sometime early April, and probably having somebody on board get this early summer yet, probably about the time of closing.
Okay. And that's, closing is by July 1. So we'll be taking other actions at this committee and at the council level about those RFPs.
That is correct, Chairman Quincy. We'll be coming back with the recommended design firms and commissioning firms for your review and approval.
Good. Thank you very much. Councilmember Kano, I know you had some comments on this, so feel free.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this property acquisition, as many folks know, was heavily opposed by the residents of this racially concentrated area of poverty. Immigrant families, Latino families, the neighborhood association, a lot of the folks who care about environmental justice and sustainability did not believe that this was the right decision, and I, as the council member of that area, also did not believe that was the right decision. I was not supported by my council colleagues to prevent this purchase from happening, and although the community has different hopes and dreams for this area, and we had been working on them diligently over the last 2 years, and I'm just speaking as a council member who began here 2 years ago, although I fully acknowledge that that work of environmental justice and sustainability for an area that is considered an overburdened area where multiple vulnerabilities connect to put a lot of these families at risk of negative health impacts, low educational outcomes, certainly challenges in the economic opportunities areas. All of that work has been happening for many years, and it's actually been supported a lot by other legislators in the area who have been there much longer than I have, such as State Representative Karen Clark and Senator Torres Ray, who showed up early on in our green zones discussions and conversations in that neighborhood. So it is disappointing to see that this is, going to continue to move forward without the support that I think that the city needed to get from the community. I understand and acknowledge where we are today in this particular point in time, in this juncture of this decision, and I have engaged with the city staff and have had conversations with Greg on numerous occasions about the type of concrete and solid action that the city really needs to continue to entertain and to hopefully demonstrate moving forward to really make this a partnership with the community residents who are living there. As you can see, we have some photos that have been put up in our room, in our council chambers here, that show the traffic in this area, particularly heavy truck traffic, which is already a challenge for the bikers in the area, the bicyclists who use 28th Street quite regularly, the connections that we have to the Greenway and to the light rail. And so as a transit-oriented development site, which is what I believe this site is and what the community members understand this community site to be as an asset that could really provide a new and different vision for green industrial businesses, for green business development, for green jobs creation. It's a difficult pill to swallow to see this coming forward today, but I am going to be here for another 2 years, and I want to make sure that those 2 years are productive in working on this project to ensure that the community's voice and desire continues to be at the forefront of this development project that the city is very much involved with and driving. I believe that should give our residents more of a voice in the process, and I'm hopeful that we can continue to have those conversations. And I know that residents have reached out to me today asking if there's any way to amend this motion. So I will be looking at potential amendments leading up to the council meeting on Friday. I don't sit on this committee, so I can't propose anything at the moment, and I don't feel it's fair to ask my colleagues to do this work for me. So I'm here to talk a little bit about the history of this project, to acknowledge the community's desires and needs for this area, and to say that I'm willing to continue to work on this for the next 2 years, at the very least, until our re-election cycle. So thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'll and you can actually sit down, Mr. Koki. I don't need to ask
Standing's
any
good for your
questions on this. All right. So, and I'll put aside, putting aside my previous comments and sentiment on this project, I wanted to address the specific vote today that's before us. I also recognize, too, that we have very, very talented staff. And if I had anybody negotiating on my behalf, I'm glad we have the staff that we do. They do a great job. I will not be supporting this today specifically because it is my understanding that one of the pieces of our strategy that was very thoroughly considered was around eminent domain. There's definitely a time and a place for that. Certainly on the Nicollet Avenue reopening, I would be very open to something like that because it supports public infrastructure that everyone can use. However, this public facility, my understanding is that this site is nice to have, not a need to have, that there were other options. Sure, there are operational advantages for this site. There are cost savings associated with this site. And so, again, it wasn't a necessary piece. So when a private landowner is in negotiations and we're not getting anywhere, I have serious concerns about considering eminent domain as a tactic to essentially intimidate them to negotiate with us, is how it feels like to me. So that's why I'm not supporting this particular item, and I appreciate the chair willing to pull this off for some discussion and a separate vote, but we don't need to do a roll call or anything like that. And I also want to thank staff too and my colleagues who have brought forward the effort to work with the community on development. And I'm excited to see the LEED certification in here. And so that's a great part of it as well. I appreciate the work that went into it and the thought.
Thank you. Council Vice President.
Just, I want to make sure I kind of put in a clarification, and this may have been what you meant, Councilmember Johnson, but which is that if an eminent domain strategy was utilized, the council would be required to authorize using that strategy, and we did not do that. And so I just want to make sure for those who are watching this is that eminent domain was not utilized and the council never received a formal request to authorize that, and we did not authorize that. So I just want to make sure that that's clear because there's a lot of sensitivity around eminent domain and usage, and including with policymakers and staff on kind of how that tool is used. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that clarification. I was about to ask Mr. Gilkey to clarify that, but I think that is well covered. Thank you. You'd like to? Oh, okay. Sure. Go ahead, Councilmember Connell.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify for the public record that the way that this was presented to me is that city staff were planning to bring forward an eminent domain request to the council, and understanding that this project had already been approved by a majority vote, that the votes for an eminent domain measure would have likely existed. And so that message was definitely in the community, and we know that conversations happened with the owner around the eminent domain threat, which forced him to come back to the table to negotiate a sale price instead of being forced to sell. That's my understanding of the conversations, and that is, to be quite transparent with my colleagues, that is the conversation that I've been having with my residents about the potential ways that this eminent domain discussion could have folded out in the council process.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this item? Not seeing any. Thank you very much. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that item carries. Thank you very much. And we have the one final item here. This is about the body cams, Pace body cameras. This is item number 28. I'll yield to Councilmember Palamisano for leading off the discussion.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. I don't know. Do we want to move the motion before us?
Yeah, let me do that. If I could move item number 28 on the agenda, which is a contract with Taser International for the purchase of body-worn camera equipment and video storage solution.
Super. Mr. Chair and colleagues, I wanted to provide a little bit of context around, I did support, it was unanimous, the support for allocating this $4 million, taking that action at public safety last week. Before you is an additional motion that Councilmember Yang and I have developed since that time. I've worked a little bit with you, Chair Quincy, on making it something amenable. Our work effort on body cameras really began last year. Before that, if you're part of the police department like Deputy Chief Glampy, in my role as chair of audit, I've been especially close to this effort, both with the police department and also with our city clerk's office. Between the body camera consultation that was requested by the police department and the records management audit, which we'll all hear more about in the coming weeks, our city learned what it would actually take to scope a body camera program. Last week in public safety, I expressed some concerns about this, but I was less sure what the best action to take would be. Since then, I've done a great deal of looking into it, and before you is that motion. This motion acknowledges that with a $4 million investment in body cameras, we have and we will retain a very public commitment to achieve the transparency and the accountability that we promised along with that program. Where I have found the biggest gap in being able to service body camera requests has been in the records information unit. We have a growing backlog of work in that unit, and I know we can all acknowledge that this is a way to help us get ahead of that curve and to be responsive to future body camera requests. I want to acknowledge that the number of managed public data requests in the past 4 years has increased by 400%, and that's without having any body cameras. So there are very real reasons why we've gotten a little bit behind in this work. Another thing that we should acknowledge that our records information unit has been doing since, I believe, last July is expungement requests that have taken on a whole new load of work that we want to be especially responsive to with that new legislation. So what I have before you is an acknowledgement to help the city clerk's office and the Minneapolis Police Department work together to really put a public face on this body camera program, both in helping people who come in to request data. It uses extra money not extra money, but money that we haven't yet used in previously allocated funds to help get additional resources in to the records information unit. And it asks our police department finance to recommend necessary FTE positions for this department in the future. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Also here, 4 questions might be appropriately directed to Robin McPherson from Police Finance or Christian Rummelhoff from Records Management.
Sure. Thank you very much, Councilmember Palmisano. For the staff direction question,